Hey, welcome to Crapital Foundry. And so with Xbox One X coming and Forza Motorsport 7, I thought I would go back in the past a little bit to Forza Motorsport 5 and see what that's all about and compare it to Gran Turismo Sport. Now, as you guys know, Forza Motorsport 5 received quite a bit of hate when it launched on the Xbox One. It was a launch title, and it significantly had less content than previous iterations because Turn 10, as it turns out, went back and captured everything. So they had to increase the polygon counts. They wanted to go back over all the tracks that they did. So it had a downgrade in the amount of content that it had, and it got hate for that. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to compare it to a game that's been in the works for years, and it's coming out 4 years into the console cycle. And what I found was actually quite interesting. Forza Motorsport 5, 1080p, 60 frames per second, locked, compared to GT Sport, which is 1080p, but we're not sure that that's a locked 60 frames per second. Now, here's where things get interesting. GT Sport, even though it comes in 4 years later, has 19 tracks, compared to only 14 on Forza Motorsport 5. But there's 42 track configurations on Forza Motorsport 5, where there's only 27 configurations on GT Sport. Now, where things get even more interesting is there's over 200 cars on Forza Motorsport 5, and that was looked down on at the time, and you guys can look into that if you want to, but that really did happen. People looked down on the amount of cars that Forza Motorsport 5 had, whereas the over 200 on that is still more than GT Sport will launch with 177. Now, both of these games have custom options, but the GT Sport custom options are limited, and the damage options are also limited, whereas the damage physics and things like that are much more high-end on Forza Motorsport 5. Now, with all that being said, GT Sport also doesn't have dynamic weather, and neither does Forza Motorsport 5, so they're both tied there. GT Sport does have VR mode, but, you know, again, Forza doesn't, because, simply put, Xbox One doesn't support VR. So I just thought it was interesting to compare these two in those terms, and even if you look at them graphically, I think Forza Motorsport 5 holds up incredibly well, especially for a launch title, and GT Sport, I don't believe, looks that good. What we see a lot with GT Sport is the playback footage of that, but I'm curious to see how this game is going to actually look when it launches. But from my take is, Forza Motorsport 5 actually had more content, even though it got more hate, than GT Sport will have, even though that's taken way longer to develop. And I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are. Let me know. Sound off, rate, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching. Crapgamer, out.